watching REMIC TV. I'm Jasmine Bowen and welcome. This is What's Going On, and today we're interviewing Charles. Now Charles has a great business. Charles, you are a mortgage broker, yes?
Yes, I am.
So tell me a little bit about your business.
First of all, Jasmine, thank you for having me here.
Thank you for coming.
All right. Well, I'm a mortgage agent, and I've been in the business now for over 2 years.
Okay.
I've been in the real estate world doing real estate investing for over 8 years.
Okay.
So it's a very tremendous and very exciting world to be in. The mortgage industry is a little different now, and it's exciting to be in right now. Reason being is because interest rates are so low. It's a time for people to take advantage, right? If you want to be able to own a property or invest into a property, this is the time to do it. Investing now is a great opportunity because interest rates are so low.
Right. So what's the difference between yourself and just walking into a bank, between a mortgage broker and walking into a bank?
That's a very excellent question. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people don't know the difference between what a mortgage agent does and what a bank does.
Okay.
Usually when you're ready to have a mortgage, people automatically walk into a bank to get a loan or a mortgage. Mm-hmm. What they find out is that they don't meet the qualifications to be able to get that mortgage.
Right.
Because there's a few things you need to be able to have ready before being qualified for a mortgage.
Right.
One being having your down payment.
Right.
Another being making sure that you have good credit, right? And also having good credit history.
Yes, it's very important.
Very, very important. And also making sure that you're able to afford, depending on what liabilities you have, you're able to afford the property that you're looking for. Most banks, once you walk in and say, yeah, I'm looking for a mortgage, they really don't educate you on making sure that you have those three things. They basically get all your information, your documents, and come back to you and say yes or no. More times people walk in there and they say, oh, I'm sorry, it can't happen. What a mortgage agent does is sits down with you and educates you on what you need to do.
Right.
You might not be qualified today, but you might be qualified tomorrow. And what I mean, literally tomorrow, just by getting your stuff ready, right? I've had a few clients that came to see me, and within weeks, they had their stuff ready and they were ready to be qualified for a mortgage. That's one thing. The other thing is, working with a mortgage agent has the opportunity to look at all different lenders.
Right.
So I work with over 40 different lenders.
Okay.
Right? And that allows me to get you the best rate and the best deal out in the market. If you walk into a bank, you're only working with what the bank has to offer.
So there's a lot of mortgage agents out there, though. So before we get into the specifics, what makes you different from all the mortgage agents that are out there? Is there something you do that's unique?
Yes, I believe so. I believe, first of all, I'm about educating, first of all.
Okay.
I'm always about educating. I'm always about letting people know what they can do today and what they can do tomorrow.
Right.
Right? We're not just about one deal.
Right.
It's about how many deals you can leverage, right? And because real estate is about investing, right? Your home is your biggest investment.
Okay.
Right? So why don't you use your home to leverage to get more investments, so you can grow that capital that you're looking for. So I'm always about investing. The other thing is I'm very flexible, very approachable. You can call me at any time and I'll be able to answer any questions. That's how I work with all my clients. Because a lot of clients, I'll sit down with them and I'll be helping them out with their actual mortgage at that time. But after we finish talking, a few hours later, they might have a few questions that didn't come up at that time. You can call me after hours. I'm always working really late, sometimes to 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, so you can give me a call. I'm not doing banking hours, so it's not 8 to 4 or 9 to 5. Right. So that's what makes me different.
Gap in between.
Exactly, exactly. So if you call me and if I don't answer, I will get back to you right away.
Okay.
So that's what makes me different.
So you're really there for your clients, which I think is very important when you're buying a house. If I was buying a house and it's my house, I would want someone personal to work with. But now in this economy, there's so much economic downfall. People can't afford to buy a house. They can barely afford to scrape rent together. So what kind of advice are you giving them?
Well, one thing I would like to say is this, okay? And I'm working with a couple right now, for instance. They have excellent credit. Their income is very good as well, but they don't have their down payment.
Okay.
So they're looking to buy a property for about $400,000.
Right.
Right, and because they have no down payment, we're going to use the cashback program for them. Right now, the qualifying rate that they would be qualified for would be at 5.19. What will happen is they'll be paying a monthly payment of roughly around $1,800.
Okay.
Right, now they're going to be able to get a nice big house. Now, if they want, they'll be able to rent out the basement roughly for about
an idea.
Exactly, roughly, and these are things that I would talk to them about as well, right? Roughly for about $900. So basically, they'd be getting a house, right, with no money down and making a monthly payment of $900.
Which is, I mean, the rent of a decent sized apartment, especially in one of the most expensive cities in the world, in Toronto.
Exactly, exactly. And getting a purchase price of $400,000, sorry.
$400. You tell me where I can buy that house.
I know. for $400,000. That's usually the average amount in Toronto that can get you a nice semi-detached or detached home in the area.
But what would you recommend for people? Now, I know you can't have, it's not easy to get a mortgage if you have bad credit, right? How would you recommend people start building their credit scores and start working towards being ready to have a mortgage?
Well, that's a very good question. First things first, you need to pull your credit. You might want to go onto Equifax.ca and see what your beacon score is. For mortgage lending, the minimum is your beacon score needs to be 680.
680.
680.
Okay.
Right. Most banks, like the 5 major banks, like 700.
What is the average person's credit score?
The average person's credit score is it's between 680 and 700.
Okay, so 680 is not hard to obtain. It's not an unobtainable goal.
No, it's not obtainable. It's not that hard to obtain. Okay. It's just about having a credit card or making sure that anything that's being reported on your credit, you are making sure that you're making the payments on time. Little things can mess with your credit score though, such as your cell phone bill. Let's say you decide not to pay it. Some cell phone companies do report to the credit bureau if you don't pay your cell phone bill.
Even just, I mean, a cell phone bill can be so small. It can be $30 a month.
Exactly, and that could affect your credit score. That's why it's always important to make sure that you check with Equifax.ca. You can do that once a year. It's free to be able to pull your actual credit report and get that information.
Okay. So, all right, so they're pulled their credit score, they're building their credit. What else do they need to get ready to have a mortgage?
The other thing is they need to have their credit history.
Okay.
So a lot of people say, okay, well, all right, I have excellent credit because I don't use any credit, right? Well, that's not how it works.
True.
That's not how it works, right? You need to have a credit history.
Okay.
So what I would suggest for a lot of people to do is when you get a credit card to have a minimum of $2,000. Right, $2,000 between $2,500 is what you're looking for.
The limit or the balance that you carry?
This would be the limit.
Okay, so
right?
have a limit, yeah.
Right, so the balance that you carry shouldn't be any more than 50%. If it starts to go over 50%, then it starts to weigh negatively onto your credit score.
Okay.
Right, so that should be the limit you should have, and roughly 2 trading lines, meaning having a Visa card and a MasterCard.
Okay.
Right, with that. And by building that for about a year, that would give you an excellent credit history and an excellent credit score, right, in the lender's eyes,
right,
which is excellent.
Right.
So that's what would move you forward into being able to qualify for a mortgage.
Okay, so we've got a good credit score now. Now we need a down payment.
Yes, yes. What you would need is about 5% down.
Okay.
It's that's the minimum amount of down payment that you would need to purchase a home.
All right.
Now there are different programs for people who might not have the 5% down to be able to use the cashback option, right? Or you can also use an RSP loan to use to be able to go towards your down payment as well.
Now, is that recommended to take out a loan to buy a house like that for even the down payment?
Well, the purpose of the RSP loan is to give you that advantage to have that down payment, and 2, to also start you into investing in your retirement savings plan.
Right.
That's the whole purpose of it. So you're doing two things at once. So basically you're borrowing the money, but they're going to give you 15 years to pay it back.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's quite a long time as opposed to, 6 months, no interest.
Exactly.
Like
But that particular strategy is only for first-time home buyers.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so if I'm buying my second condo or anything like that.
No, it won't work then.
All right. Maybe under a different name.
Maybe.
All right, so I have a good credit score now. I have my 5% down. Now I'm coming to you. What happens?
All right, so you got your credit score, you got your down payment, and now it's about finding the let me not forget this. It's about making sure that your income is sufficient, right?
So because I could have saved for years and years and years to have 5%, but my income could not be high.
Yes, it might not be high. You might be making anywhere between 40 to 50,000, but you're looking for that $1 million home. It's not going to work. It's
living
just
within your means,
exactly.
Right? Yes.
It has to gel, right?
Right.
So what I would suggest, and what I like to tell a lot of people, is to get a pre-approval done first.
Okay.
Right. Come in, find out what your credit score is. Also, we'll talk about where you can be able to source your down payment, and with all that information, depending on your income, we'll be able to give you a pre-approval on what your max is, what you can afford out there. So for a mortgage, and then you can move forward.
So now 40 to 50,000 is considered a half decent income, yes?
Yes.
It's you're right. We don't want the $1 million home.
Well, if you have anywhere between 40 and 50,000, and if you have no liabilities, you're talking anywhere between 300 to 400,000 that you can afford in the GTA.
That's the better shot.
Yes.
Okay, so I've come to you. We've done that. We've done the pre-approval. You've given me the mortgage. Now, what tips do you have for that? Should we pay it off as fast as possible?
I always educate my clients about paying it off as fast as possible. Okay. If it's their primary residence, absolutely. If it's a rental property, it's about cash flow.
Okay.
Right. So it's a different strategy.
Right. So tell me about the two different strategies. Let's start with primary residence. Just my home.
Okay, not a problem. Well, ultimately, you have to understand that your mortgage is a debt. It is a loan, and you're trying to pay it off as quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
When you first get your mortgage, you're paying more interest than you're paying into the principal.
Right. So
different strategies that you can use to be able to pay off your debt quicker is by making biweekly payments.
Right.
Right. You can also put down extra money onto those amounts every month as well. Okay. You're depending on what mortgage product you use, it can anywhere be from 10, 15, 20, or even 25% of the mortgage payment that you're doing. Right. You can also do a lump sum amount of the full lump sum of your actual mortgage. Now, it's said that if you actually use the biweekly payments and you actually put 20% of the lump sum amount of your mortgage, right, you can actually pay off your mortgage in less than 5 years.
Really?
Yes.
And that's pretty quick for a $300,000 home.
Well, the thing is, it is difficult to be able to come up with 25% of the mortgage amount every year. Yes. To put the lump sum down. Yeah. It is difficult for most Canadians. But if you could do that, you would be able to pay your mortgage off in 5 years.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and you would save a lot of interest on the mortgage.
Now, what about if I buy an apartment building to rent out? What do you suggest then? So
that's a totally different situation. It's about cash flow. That's what it's about. So you're about stretching your expenses as far down as possible. You don't want to pay anything. You want to be able to generate as much cash out of that property as possible.
Huh.
Yes.
Interesting.
So you're looking to get an amortization of 30, 35, 40 years if you can. Okay. Right? And you're looking for interest-only payments because it's about cash flow. You're not the one purchasing the place. Well, you're the one purchasing the place, but you're not the one actually paying.
That's correct. Your tenants are.
Your tenants are. Yes. So that's the whole purpose of an investment property. A lot of people who do have investment properties, and I'm talking just simple townhomes at the second home, right, that they buy, they're thinking, oh, I got to pay this down, I got to pay this down, I got to pay this down. What I would suggest is no, it's about cash flow, right? You want to leverage as much cash flow as possible, so you're able to use that to get other properties.
Now, let me ask you this. In this economy, everyone's looking to make money. So, from your background, would you suggest it was more profitable to buy a home, pay it off as soon as possible, and then sell it as the market goes up, or to buy a property in which you're trying to rent and make money off that?
I never agree about if you purchase something to sell it.
Okay.
Right? I always tell my clients, when you're starting to, it's just like the Monopoly game. You want to keep as many assets as possible, right? It's never about selling. It's always about buying, right? You can position yourself in a way to keep purchasing and never having to sell, unless you're in a situation where, okay, you've gotten about 10 or 15 houses, and now you're going to sell that for a big apartment building, for instance. That's a different story. That's a different story. So I'm always letting people know, hey, whatever the times are, if interest rates are high or interest rates are low, right? If you can keep it, never sell. Never sell. Never sell. Why? Because in the market that we're in, property values are just going higher and higher and higher. Right. Right. 20 years ago, the average house was roughly around 200,000, 250,000. Now we're talking about the average house being 400,000. Yes. But to make money, then you would want to rent out always. Of course. Yes. Of course. Right. It's always about using other people's money. OPM. Right. And you're providing a service because there is a lot of people coming into the city. Right. We have roughly about 20,000 newcomers coming into the city every year. And there's not a lot of room. There is not a lot of room. Exactly. So they need a place to stay. Yes. So they're looking for a place. So you're actually providing a nice service for them, and at the same time, they're helping you out by helping you pay for your investment. So using the fact that all these newcomers from all walks of life are coming in, that's interesting. So someone starting off right away, say they're 18 years old and they're just out of school, would you recommend they rent to get their feet on the ground, or to buy right away? That's a very good question. And basically, I would just look at their scenario first. Okay. If they actually were, if they're getting help from their parents, if they're able to get their parents to help them co-sign or help them with the down payment, I always suggest buying. Buying always, never renting? Never renting. Okay. If you can buy. Okay. Right? Always buy. If you can put yourself in a situation where you can purchase, do that. So if that means if you're 18 years old and you have to stay at home for another year or two to save up that down payment, do that instead of using that money to pay for rent. And you're right, because the rent it goes nowhere. Exactly. And you walk away and there's nothing. Exactly. Well, once you start buying property, now you're in a position of power. Ah. Right? So you're now able to leverage a lot better with banks, with financial institutions, right? And also within your community. Is there any circumstance in which you would suggest someone sell? I know you said never, but if someone was in complete debt or anything, is there any situation where you'd suggest they sell? Well, of course. Sometimes people are just in over their heads, right? They might have purchased 2 or 3 different properties and are not able to find tenants. Or just that the interest rate might have gone up too high, and they're in a position where they just can't hold those extra properties. So in that situation, you're not going to let your portfolio take you down. You have to sell off those properties. All right. Well, you've given us some very good advice. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing? I just want to say that you guys can all visit my website at www.financesbycharles.com. I am doing seminars once a month, and once you check out my website, you'll be able to register online and attain one of those seminars at any time. All right. Well, thank you very much for being on the show, Charles. I wish you the best of luck. Thank you. In your business. You have been watching What's Going On REMIC TV. I'm Jasmine Bowen, and we've gotten some great tips from Charles on mortgaging in this economic downfall in this housing market. Thank you once again. Have a great day, guys, and check back on REMIC TV soon.